Without getting melodramatic, I might be done playing the finals. No, you shouldn't care what I have to say if you enjoy the game, more power to you. But every time I get back in this game, I quickly want to back out and go somewhere else. Consider this video a list of reasons why I and others don't play the game daily or have stopped altogether. When it comes to videos like this, there is no aggression or anger to anyone. I'm just gassed out and can't be involved in this game as much as I would like to be. There is a lot that I enjoy about the finals. Dynamic destruction, the gunplay is consistent and rewarding, and the kit crafting you can do to turn your playstyle into whatever you want. Whether you want to build a fortress of shields as the heavy class and force enemies to eat your sledgehammer, to playing as more of a support poke type role with the medium class, dropping down an anti-grenade turret and healing your team, to what seems to be the most popular thing to do in quick play, which is being a slithery assassin with the light class. Even if you don't have a ton of experience playing FPS games like Battlefield or Call of Duty, I can see this easily appeal to fans of Overwatch and role-based shooters, as well as people who enjoy Titanfall or Apex Legends. This game is a lot more independent of each player's success, which I do like, and it does mean certain playstyles can get hard countered, and you will have to make up for that by winning your gunfights. The maps are mostly great. The only one I dislike is Kyoto because of how tough it is to move around in the buildings, constantly getting stuck on debris, and being left out in the open if you're in between locations with not much cover to work with. Every other map plays out much better and provides more ways for players to use their gadgets to either defend or escape. The more I describe this game, the more you would think it's right up my alley and should be in my top 5 online games you can play today. And I do think that. However, I still feel burned out with the gameplay, which is something I haven't really felt before in an FPS game that I adore. I stopped playing Battlefield because I wanted to play faster-paced, arena-style games, and I can always revisit Battlefield or Delta Force for those larger conquest-style game modes. I stopped playing Call of Duty because of many reasons, but if we went back to the Modern Warfare 2019's game engine, with a less strict matchmaking system, I would still be playing that game to this day. With the finals, I've been playing it since launch, and it's just the gameplay that's wearing me down. I'll get into more detail in these next points as to why that is. I have to make this clear as quickly as I can. I want to see this game get better and blow up and be one of the top FPS games in the market. Everything I say in this video about the finals is from both my own frustrations with the game, but I also want to see it become the best version possible. There is a lot that the finals does right and really well. It's also very well optimized for a game that has a lot of destruction and how dynamic the game can get. But since Season 3, I've been enjoying this game less and less. I stopped playing in the middle of Season 4 and stayed away from the game for all of Season 5 to cleanse my palate and do my best to forget all of the things in the game that I was frustrated with. Even so, jumping into Season 6 wasn't as much fun as I had hoped. The new ARN rifle for the light class is very underwhelming and feels just as much of a bullet hose as the MP5 or the XP54 as it's called in the game. In fact, I find myself doing much better with the XP54 than with this new rifle. There hasn't been a single gunfight I've gotten into that felt better with the ARN. The medium class got a lever action rifle, which is cool, it hits hard, but it has a punishing reload time. And the heavy class finally gets the minigun, so you can cosplay as Heavy from Team Fortress 2 all you want now. It's a very scary weapon to fight against. I never expect any new weapon to become the best, but I always like them to feel unique. As of late, a lot of these weapons feel more like side grades with little to any unique factors that's actually worth dealing with. I can see some people taking the time to get better with the lever action rifle, but for the risk, I'll just keep using the FAMAS, the Pike 5.56, the FCAR, or the AK. And what is the point with the ARN rifle? It doesn't seem to be any better in gunfights than the XP54. The minigun, I understand, that thing is a monster. Some of these weapons can feel redundant at times or just too weak to even matter, which leads me to my next point. While ranked may be an entirely different conversation, quick matches can be rough at times. In the faster respawn modes like Bank It, TDM, and Power Shift, you'll find people running shotguns, throwing knives, daggers, grenade launchers, and other similar weapons that I'm honestly just tired of fighting against. And by the way, I did mention in my previous video in this game, they were going to rebalance the CL40 grenade launcher, which they did for Season 6. I was questioning about this when that video was released, but I swear up and down I saw something that said they were going to rebalance the CL40, and I just could not find it. So either this is just a coincidence, or I wasn't crazy. Either way, they gave the grenade launcher of all things a buff. So we can't have better headshot damage with the FCAR, but we're going to buff the grenade launcher and make the game even more toxic. Got it. When I jump into Power Shift, which is my favorite mode, there is no spawn protection. And since the game is not balanced for this mode, you end up with a fortress of gadgets you have to destroy on the platform objective. If I ever see a 4 or 5 stack of heavy players, I'm grabbing my sniper rifle and staying 100 meters away from the objective. I am not dealing with that nonsense. I know a lot of people who play this game are going to say, just run the glitch mine, equip explosives, use the pump grenade, and so on and so on. But that's exactly my problem with this game. You're spending just as much time shooting and disabling gadgets as you do fighting enemies. And if you don't have the right gadget equipped from the start, then you just may as well die and equip whatever magic item you need to counter what the other team is doing. This is a big problem right now in Overwatch, and I really hate to see these kind of issues show up in the finals. Again, I'm not trying to convince any diehards of this game to see things my way, just know that I know what most of those counters are, and they don't always work. And it doesn't make up for having useless teammates that are feeding kills to the enemy one by one. I don't expect to win every match, but it would be nice if the matchups were better balanced. More so in Power Shift when I'm going against a team of 5, and 4 of those players are in the same club. And like I mentioned before, players already know where the respawn points are. I respawned right in front of an enemy glitch grenade once. That's not a problem, I guess. It's clear to me at this point the developers at Embark want a very wacky meta. But like I said in my previous and divisive video, I just want the gimmicks to be less powerful than they are now. Of course, they're not used in ranked most of the time, but they're in every single round of Power Shift I've ever played. I'm not asking for drastic changes, just something that makes it a little more inconvenient to use in regular play. You should have to plan your entire kit around the katana if you really want to use it. At the same time, you really shouldn't be going on kill streaks with it unless you are patient and on top of your gadget usage. Outside of reworking weapon balance, Power Shift could really improve with having its own rule set, much like the other game mode, Terminal, which is this game's version of a round-based, single-life, bomb-defusing search and destroy mode. Gadgets in Terminal are limited. Most, if not all of the gadgets, cannot be replenished until the next round. Similar changes could be done for Power Shift, such as giving heavy players one less shield, longer cooldown times for certain gadgets across all classes, and limiting how many players of each class can be in the match. So we don't have to worry as much about a gadget fortress meta with 3 heavies and 2 mediums. Even if these changes are small, they can go a long way to making the mode more enjoyable. Embark has their own plans, and everything is just the way they want it for now. Unfortunately for me, it encourages toxic metas in Power Shift that I'm just tired of building my kits around to counter it as best as possible. This obviously doesn't apply to every fan of the finals, but every time I'm not entirely in love with an update for this game and I cover it, some of you all take it way too seriously. I didn't think I had to clarify how dull, boring, and annoying it is to go up against a team of lights in quick play. Apparently, that's not common knowledge to those who only play ranked. I'm sorry, I don't really care for the main game mode and have even less desire to grind rank. I want to enjoy Power Shift, Bank It, and other faster paced matches, which brings in a lot of kits you normally don't see. And a lot of players, myself included, make them work way too well. And while you may have all the answers and don't have to deal with some of these toxic metas as often, a large part of the player base does. And if the game's not fun for me, who puts hours upon hours of time into shooters to learn them, it's not going to be fun for others. Players rage quit matches constantly, and a new player doesn't typically get brought into the match all that quick, leaving your team at a disadvantage for a few crucial minutes. I'm not saying the game's going to die, but it's going to have an uphill battle trying to bring more players in and keep them playing a full match, much less keeping them playing a few times a week. While I believe there needs to be a separate rule set for Power Shift to limit gadget spam and prevent some of the more gimmicky loadouts from devastating lobbies, there may be other ways to resolve this. In Rick Fry's recent video, he talks about adding other casual game modes that can't be ruined by sweaty players, which I'm all for. If there's any way for me to play this game every week, I really want to see it happen, and once I feel refreshed from these other modes, then I'll jump into Power Shift and have a little more patience with the playstyles that tend to show up there. Even though I haven't been able to enjoy the finals as much as I like to, I've been having a lot more fun playing Marvel Rivals. One thing both of these games have in common is how hectic and semi-broken both of them are. So why am I enjoying Rivals more? I think a big part of that is due to Rivals being a true role-based shooter. If I want to run Duelist, I can. If I get tired of that, I can chill and play support. I've also taken the time to learn how to play a few tank characters, which is something I would never do in Overwatch or other similar games. I really don't want to play the heavy class in the finals, which is the closest thing to tank that this game has. With the finals, it's more about gunplay. Sure, you can play the heavy class and hide behind your shields, but you still need to use your weapon, or that would be the case normally. The finals has a combination of melee and projectile weapons to choose from and fight against. Some weapons in this game hit so hard, it only takes one additional hit to eliminate a heavy character. And like I said before, it's not fun planning your entire kit to deal with some of them. With Rivals, even though a lot of these characters have some crazy kits, they can only do so much, and a fair amount of characters have ways to deal with each other. Scarlet Witch, for example, has an ultimate that can wipe out everyone, but she can be disrupted in a number of ways. While some characters are hard counters to others, such as Namor to any dive character, even so, you don't have to play as Namor to win, and you don't have to change from playing dive against a Namor. It all depends on what's going on and the skill level between the two players. With the finals, I rarely find myself changing my loadout because of how often I run into the same type of players over and over again. With rivals, I feel like I have more freedom most times. Sure, matchmaking isn't always great, and I have to swap to something else for a better chance of winning. But like I said, if it does get to be too much, I can just play a different role next time and not have to worry nearly as much about losing the same way. If I keep getting dived on as support, next time around I'll just play as DPS and play as the dive character. I don't really have that kind of option in the finals. If things aren't panning out for me in the finals, I don't have another unique game mode to play or unique role to jump into to help my team. Any changes I do make, I still have to play the game more or less the same way. Perhaps the chaos the finals brings is just as much fun to others, and maybe Embark is on the right path. Unfortunately for me, I don't get that same feeling. I know some people are just going to be mad that I'm not enjoying the game, and I'm comparing it to rivals and so on and so on. Like I said at the start, I really would like to see the finals find its footing and be as fun for me and many others. Right now, I don't think it's where it needs to be to do that. And hey, if their game balance is actually bringing in more players, great. It just means that whatever it is players want out of this game isn't what I want. There are a few channels I follow who are addicted to this game, and I'm glad for them. I'll be keeping tabs of the game every so often, but until I see big changes that support Power Shift and other similar modes, I won't be logging in every week. And even then, I may not make another video on this game. I know the finals is also making strides to start up an esports scene. I sincerely hope it does take off and we can see improvements to the game sooner rather than later. And you can bet I'll be watching it too. I hate to ask this considering the topic, but let me know what your thoughts are on the finals and what you would like to see from it. I don't expect you to feel the same way as I do. And if you enjoy discussing video games, consider subscribing to the channel. Until then, I am Mr. Rain, and I'll see you next time.